What's up, zombie lovers? This is Drago 1983,
and I'm Ben 94,
and welcome to the second episode of the Call of Duty Retrospective. And today we're going to be talking about the first DLC map from the Call of Duty World at War, Verruckt,
also sometimes referred to as the Undead Asylum. And today, Drago and I are going to be going over different points and key features of this map, comparing it to Nacht der Toten, going over strategies, changes in maps, weapons, the works.
So let us begin.
So let's first off start off with story. What's the backstory on this map? What's the history of this map? Well, this is pretty much the same as Nacht. There isn't really a story here. There are bits and pieces that you can kind of pull together to recreate a story of your own, but there's no official story, at least not yet. It's just basically the four nondescript US characters that we had in Nacht. They just made their way over to the Undead Asylum. We assumed that they survived Nacht somehow, and they made their way trying to get back to the friendly lines, found the Undead Asylum, hunkered down here until it's safe to move on. That's kind of what you just figure. But in terms of storyline, there's not a whole lot here.
So you basically have the same characters from the first map, but they actually talk in this game as well, so they added the audio to the voices.
These characters are not the characters that we've known to love over the years, because these are still the nondescript US soldiers. The characters that we know, such as Tank, Takio, Nikolai, and Richthofen, they don't come out till the next map, Toshino Numa. For right now, we're still running with the same nondescript US soldiers, really no backstories, no personalities. As Drago mentioned, they do have some speaking voices in here, so that's kind of nice. But in reality, they're just the same old characters that we had from Nacht.
To survive on a zombie map, of course you gotta have weapons.
That's right, you can't always survive with the weapons just off the wall.
You have to go to the mystery box to get a random weapon. But the catch is, the mystery box actually moves in this map.
Now the mystery box can actually spawn into 4 additional locations. On the German side upstairs, on the German side balcony, on the American side hallway, and the American side spawn. The contents of the mystery box is pretty similar to that of Nacht der Toten, with a couple exceptions. For example, the American Springfield 1903 can be found in the mystery box, and can also be purchased on the wall in the American spawn point.
And they also introduced the PPSH. It's basically one of my favorite weapons to use against a zombie. It's an automatic and it does a lot of damage. They also added Bouncing Betty, which does a lot of good damage against zombies. On this map, there are a lot of strategies you can use.
There are actually 4 different places that we used to hang out and had pretty good success with. One being by the Speed Cola on the American side, one by the Trench Gun on the American side utilizing the exterior hallways, the third one being by the Power Room, and the fourth being on the German side by the MP40. Each one of these had their pros and cons, but we enjoyed the balconies because they had access to electrical traps. The most success we ever really had was on the German side, on the balcony across from the MP40. The best trick here is to line up 3 people on the left side of the inner wall, one crouched, one prone, and one standing. As long as everybody has a good weapon, it's like an MG or some sort of rapid-firing machine gun, you can lay down a pretty good volley of cover fire. You may waste a little bit of ammo, but this is how we got to our highest round, which is somewhere in the mid-40s.
And of course, you gotta have one person in the back watching a window, so that way you won't get attacked from behind.
Also, make sure to lay down plenty of Bouncing Betties in the very back, just in case that window breaks through.
And of course, you got your trusty electric fence, so that way if you're in trouble or someone's down, you can just turn it on, revive your player, reload your weapons, and get ready for some zombie attacks. So the next thing we're going to talk about are the 4 perks that were introduced into this map, which are Juggernaut, Speed Cola, Quick Revive, and Double Tap. So Juggernaut basically helps you get less hits from zombies. Speed Cola helps you reload your guns faster. Quick Revive is basically when your person goes down, you quick revive them real quick. And Double Tap is basically having more rapid fire to your weapons. It's better to have all the perks with you, just in case if you're in a higher round and you want to make it longer. The map also introduced their first trap, which is the electric fence.
The electric fence is one of the best traps that I've come up with. It is a very simple and very effective trap. It doesn't take too long to charge and is really, really helpful when you get into a tight situation. Basically, there's a switch on the wall that you pull, and once activated, the electric fence form a barrier, usually in a doorway or some sort of tight area. Any zombie that runs through that electrical wall will be instantly vaporized, exploded, or at the very least, simply fall down dead. It's a very, very helpful tool, and it has saved our butts numerous times. Like Drago had mentioned before, the electric fence gives you the perfect opportunity to revive a fallen comrade, to reload your weapon, or to gain control of a broken window.
Just like the first zombie map, of course this one has glitches as well. One of my favorites is the weapon glitch. Basically what you do is get a Bouncing Betty, go next to the perk, hold it up, drop it, and buy the perk at the same time, and then you end up with an empty hand. So basically you can go to a mystery box or to a wall to get a weapon, an extra weapon of course. And you just keep on doing it and doing it until you have all sets of weapons.
Like its earlier map, Verruckt, Verruckt also has its fair share of barrier glitches. The one that I remember the most is up on the second floor, in front of the Bouncing Betties, the MP40, and the Double Tap. One of the players entered into the glitch at the pillar, along the right side of the wall, and backed slowly up until his back reached a certain point, close to the Bouncing Betties and the Double Tap. Once he was there, the zombies would pool in front of that hallway, never going beyond that front pillar. It made a great opportunity to get headshots, grenade kills. Not only did you have Double Tap, but you also had the MP40 on the wall, so you could constantly refill your ammo, and you could refill your Double Tap if you went down. This is actually patched, so unfortunately we couldn't get any footage of it, but it did exist at one time, and it was an interesting take on a barrier glitch, though it never did get us very far. Another glitch that was common, especially on Xbox, is out of the map glitch. In the back bathroom area where the showers and the toilets, you can actually drop down below Verruckt and get out of the map. At this point you can run around the outside of the field in the courtyard where the fountain is. There was even rumors to say that you could mount a machine gun on top of the fountain and use that as some sort of a mounted MG. I've never actually seen this, but I've heard about it. Whether or not it's true, neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, Verruckt was kind of a glitchy map. Let's talk about Easter eggs here in Verruckt. There aren't any actual Easter eggs. There are a few bits and pieces here that are important for future maps, but in terms of linking it back to Nacht, there really isn't anything there. There are two little areas though that are of some interest. On the German side there is a room, and there is a chair in that room with a lot of implements and surgical tools, and there's a wheel, a crank, at the very bottom of that chair. If I remember correctly, you could go up to that chair and you could press square on that circular wheel, and you could hear voices and screaming and a drill. Also in the American spawn room, in the wall filled with freezers, you could actually go up to one of the freezers that was pulled out, and you could press square again on that and you could hear some sort of a creepy voice or some sort of message. In terms of Easter eggs though, they really don't do much for the game itself, they're just kind of creepy additions. Also, take note of the hand on the power switch, because this hand makes appearance again and again and again in the future maps. And also, I've heard rumors that it's actually linked to the gentleman who has hung himself in Shi no Numa. But we'll get to that later on. So my overall impressions of Verruckt is this is a good map. It's a little glitchy, a little hard to play sometimes. I remember being so excited when this map first came out. It's one of those things where I could not stop playing it. And it was really cool to have different guns too, like the M1 Grand and the Springfield 03, and definitely the PPSH. Verruckt is a great map. It's a different take on the idea of zombies. It's definitely one of the more entertaining maps of the early maps. What do you think, Drago?
The original zombie maps are really fun. But of course, it's not my favorite map, but it's one of my most memorable maps of all time.
After Verruckt, we have the map called Shinonuma,
which has new characters, new weapons, new perks, and some Easter eggs.
Shinonuma is a great map. We'll be hitting that one next. Hopefully you've enjoyed Verruckt. I know it's been a fun map to play.
I'm Drago 1983.
And I'm Ben 94.
And we are out.